and welcome to a brand new episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is very, very, very pregnant. And it's the first time we've actually recorded an episode with a mum-to-be before the baby has arrived. And I'm very excited. Today's guest first came on our screens in Love Island back in the day, very early on. And she was incredible. She's gone on to be very successful in lots of different fields, including her own swimwear range, which is beautiful. Perfect person to model it. Today's guest is Montana Brown.
Oh, thank you. I also didn't realise I'm the first one pre-baby to come on the podcast.
Yes, which means that you had to come back again.
Absolutely.
Already.
Everything I'm going to say, I'm going to take it back. When I come back, I'm going to come like half a shell of a person.
Well, because I was doing my normal, Instagram stalk and everything, and I was looking at dates, and I was like, hold on a minute. You are 37 weeks.
I am. I know. Any day now. It's just shot by. I feel like I've blinked, and it's just, I'm at 37 weeks. And I think my midwives were having a bit of a flap the other day because they were like, have you done this? I was like, no. They're like, well, maybe you should. I'm like, ooh, okay. It's coming soon. They're like, any day now, it could happen. So I feel like I've still got some prep to do.
I can remember at the end of series 2 of Have Mum, Have Baby, we had Emma Willis on. And she had just been recording her midwifery programme. And she's one of my best mates, but I was 38 weeks pregnant. And she just kept looking at me as if she was just like, any twinges, G? Can we just deliver it? Maybe this is the episode.
Oh my
I feel like right now I might be channeling Emma Willis.
Yeah.
And Montana, we've got this. Whatever happens during this episode, if you laugh too hard and it pops out, we're here.
It would be great. It'd be a great moment.
There's so many cameras on you right now.
You're experienced. I trust you.
I've got to say, I went into labour at 37 plus 4.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
See, I feel like people the more I kind of tell people that I'm 37 weeks, they're like, oh yeah, like my mum gave birth at 37 weeks. I'm like, oh, it is actually nearing. Whereas I don't feel like it's anywhere close. For some reason, I feel like I'm going to be quite late.
Do you know what? That's the best way to be as well. Because I think as soon as people know your due date, as soon as there's that thing of, oh, she's gone quiet online. What does this mean?
Exactly.
And you get people asking you.
Yeah. And I also feel like we've had so much going on. Like, so we moved house last year and beautiful house. We were like, yeah, nothing needs changing. Everything's perfect. And then I don't know what's wrong with us, but for the past couple of months, we're like, oh, we'll change this and, we'll do a bit of this. And then we basically found out that our roof was leaking. And so we've had to move out. So I've been at my mum's house and then we've now just moved to my partner's parents' house in Ealing. And so we're literally just nesting there. So I feel like we literally moved in 2 or 3 days ago. And so I haven't got any furniture yet.
So you're in Ealing now or are you back in your home?
No, I'm Ealing. Our house isn't done.
So when is it going to be done?
That's $1 million question.
Okay, so that's fine. So we know that the baby's arriving and we're going to be in Ealing.
Exactly, we're going to be in Ealing. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out making that place home and getting some furniture and getting all my bits because I just thought, actually, I've only got a hospital bag and some nappies, so I probably need a bit more than that.
Have you got your cot and everything?
No, not yet.
When is your shopping trip?
I've got a Moses basket.
That's fine.
There we go.
Fine.
I've got a Moses basket. But all my furniture's arriving tomorrow.
Oh, that's fine.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But I am actually planning a home birth as well.
In your in-laws' house?
in my in-laws' house.
This is amazing.
They're not going to be there, which is good. What
better way, though, to get to know your in-laws by giving birth in their house?
I know, in their lounge.
So are they going to literally wait for things to start and then dip out?
No, so they don't actually live there. Thank goodness.
Okay. So it is just your space.
It is just our space.
Okay.
Thank goodness. That would be a bit weird.
I mean, you're giving off very chilled vibes, and you've moved. You've literally moved 3 days ago. So.
Yeah. I just feel like the baby's going to have a roof over its head, which is actually a lot more than most. And you just think, actually, it'll be fine.
And actually, a Moses basket, you've got that.
Chuck it in the Moses basket, be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're going to just chuck it in there. Yeah, you're fine.
Be fine.
Have a little nap.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about you and your childhood. Because you actually grew up in Berkhamsted, which I've only just found out.
Yeah, I'm a Hertfordshire gal. I loved growing up in Hertfordshire. And,
what was it about it? Was it the green? Yeah.
It was the greenery. And you probably know the school because it's literally 2 minutes away. But I used to go to Abbots Hill.
Right.
And I just have such fond childhood memories of just running down all these grassy hills and just messing around and just being outside. And so I've never really had the urge to live in London. And a lot of my friends kind of did small stints in London.
Yeah.
But my childhood has always been in Hertfordshire and I've just loved it. I've always had there's a field to the left with horses in and there's sheep around and there's loads of animals. And I just absolutely loved being outside as a child. So it seemed only right that we'd kind of move somewhere that was a bit more green.
Well, did you think that would happen though, when like looking ahead to your future when you were younger, and did you see yourself with a family? Did you see yourself moving back to Bakstead?
I have always, all my friends would say, I've always said since I was probably about 13, I'll have kids by the time I'm 21. Yeah, I'll be married. I'll have kids by 21, 22. I've always wanted like 5, like I used to watch Cheaper by the Dozen and be like, yeah, I want 12 kids. I definitely want 12 kids. That's going to be me. I think because I'm an only child.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. And it's always been me and mum.
Right.
And like Christmas Day, I used to kind of pop my head round the door and be like, can I get up yet? And she'd be like, no. Go back to sleep. It used to be like 4 a.m. and every single hour, can I get up yet? No. And then she'd literally, I'd have to wait. I'd be so excited. And then all my friends with siblings, because obviously their parents were outnumbered, they'd be like, oh God, we have to get up because there's 4 of them and there's only 2 of us. And so I think I've always really craved that kind of huge family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely always wanted children, always wanted to grow up kind of in the countryside as well.
So then meeting your partner, when did you two meet?
So we met actually in the pandemic in 2020, in COVID in Barbados.
What?
I know. We have actually quite a cute little story. So we actually met on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
I know, in COVID. And he was out there with his family. I was out there with my family. It was that kind of lockdown year where you couldn't leave your house at all, like in the UK.
Yeah.
Barbados was a little bit more kind of flexible, and we'd spent Christmas there, had the most amazing time. I go there pretty much every year with my family anyway. So does he. And we decided, we met, we kind of initially, everyone's always like, oh, did you fall in love? And did your eyes meet at midnight? And we were like, no, we actually really didn't like each other at the start.
Really?
He thought I was obviously quite loud and like sociable and like a bit of a social butterfly, and I thought, oh, he's really quiet and arrogant and this, but really he's just a little bit shy.
Yeah.
And then we stayed out in Barbados together for 4 or 5 months. We lived together. After 10 days of knowing each other, we just moved in with each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also because knowing, like, if you came back to the UK, especially at that time, the start of 21, I think we often forget that we were back into lockdown.
Yeah.
Kids were back into homeschooling.
Yeah.
So kind of that thing of, we know that we're fine here, actually.
Yeah.
And so we can either stay here and be on our laptops here, or go over there and do that work stuff there.
It was exactly that.
Right.
And my mum was going home and my family were going home. So we kind of had the discussion maybe on day 7. I was like, I think I'm considering staying. Like, and he was like, yeah, maybe I'll stay as well. I think I can work remotely as well. And I was like, oh, what's the worst that's going to happen? And in my head, I mean, I think in both of our heads, we're like, oh, this is like kind of a holiday fling and it'll be fun. And we both just didn't think anything of it. We just thought, oh, this is going to be a little holiday romance and we'll have a canoodle and then that'll be it. And then 5 months kind of passed, and yeah, it was actually amazing because there was no pressure on us kind of getting to know each other, or no pressure of kind of things progressing in a certain direction. And I'm definitely not my partner's type, and he's not really my type either. So I think with that in the back of our heads, we were like, he's not really my type. And he was like, she's not really my type. And so we kind of just didn't really think it was going to be anything.
Yeah.
And then kind of by the time we'd been there a couple of months, I was like, oh, actually, I think I do really like him.
Oh no, did you have that moment though of kind of going, you've set it up as kind of like a who knows?
Yeah.
But now actually I like him.
Yeah.
But does he feel that?
And it was really annoying me at the time because I was thinking, oh, I don't want to like him because he probably doesn't like me. And what was actually really nice is that he kind of kept saying to me, oh, I never do things for my previous girlfriends for Valentine's Day. Like, I don't really like buying flowers for people. He was kind of like putting on this little thing of I don't do anything romantic. I'm not a romantic person. But then for Valentine's Day, he got me all these amazing flowers, and he just like bought all my favorite like chocolate bars and just wrote me a really nice card. And I thought, he likes me. I was like, I've done it. So it was really nice, actually. And then we've lived with each other ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. And at what point did you talk about children in that first 5 months? You did.
Do you know what we did, actually? We spoke really openly about families, children, and he's got 2 nephews who he's crazy about.
Yeah.
And I think he's always known that he's wanted lots of children, loves his nephews, loves spending time with children. He's so great with kids. And so we knew it was kind of going to be on our radar. And his brother is younger than him, and has 2 children. So I think for him, he was like, of course I'll have children. I'd love to have children. So we got a dog instead. That was our first.
Nice.
So we came back from Barbados, and within a month, we bought a dog.
Wow.
Yeah. So we don't do things in half measures.
No.
Which was really nice, actually, because, again, like I feel like normally when you're with people, these kind of big monumental moments, they're such a big talking point of, you know, but what if this happens? And, you know, you have to kind of take quite a responsible angle and be like, well, if we split up, and what if this happens, and really think about kind of the long term. Mm-hmm. But for some reason with Mark, it was we never had any serious discussions. There was never any, but what if this happens, or what if this happens? We were just both always so sure. Yeah. Which was actually really nice, because I was like, I really want to get a dog. And he was like, okay. And I just remember being like, okay. And then we just got a dog, and just nothing is like hard work, which is really, really nice.
So moving on to the starting to try for a family thing, was that something that you were conscious of, or, you know, was that kind of now's the time?
So we were back in Barbados at Christmas time.
Barbados is where all the fun happens, all the canoodling, right?
I think it was a year on. So December 2021.
Yeah.
And I was on a sun lounger with him, and we were at one of our favourite places, one of our favourite beach places. And I just turned to him and I said, I think we should try for a baby next year. And he was like, okay. And I was like, no, I think we should. And he's like, okay.
He's just waiting for a bigger reaction. No, okay. Yeah. No, but seriously.
Yeah. But then like 2 hours later, I said, why don't you seem excited? Like, you haven't really said anything. And he was like, I agree. Like, I think we should do it. Like, and this is the thing. I'd never been with someone who's so chilled. Yeah. He is completely unwavered by anything. Like, nothing is too much for this man, which is a really great thing, because he's very sturdy. Yeah. But equally, like, you tell him something so exciting, he's like, cool.
Give me something back.
Yeah. And even if you try and like have an argument with him, I never get a response that I want. If I come home and I'm like, la, 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 he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, just what you
just go with it for a minute.
Just go with it. Just shout at me or something for just one moment. So like it was in that moment, and then we just kind of decided.
And then how was it when you actually started, like, now's the time?
Do you know what? That was something that I completely misjudged, in terms of, I thought, we're young, this is going to be really easy. It's going to, because I was using ovulation sticks. And I remember just thinking, ovulation sticks. I was thinking, this is going to happen like that for me. And it didn't. And I remember for the first 4 months, we'd used ovulation sticks, had the flashing smiley face, the smiley face. Yeah. And I was like, this is going to be the time. And then I'd do a pregnancy test and it was negative. And I'd be like, oh my God, that is so hurtful. Yeah. And then you do it kind of month after month. And then I was kind of thinking like, oh my goodness, is there something wrong with me? Mm-hmm. Like, should I be getting checked up? And obviously, naturally, I sent Mark off to the clinic. I was like, something wrong with your sperm. You need to get it checked out. It's not me. So we both went to the clinic. Yeah. He got his sperm, I got my eggs. Everything was fine. I think so. Mark he loves going in the sauna. And also he's an avid cycler as well. 2 things which are not good for sperm, which I did not know. And then I also found out that I had like no estrogen. Oh. Yeah, I had like no estrogen and no testosterone, which apparently is like a big no-no for conceiving. So it kind of left me a bit, okay, so I can be young, fit and healthy and still really, really struggle to conceive. So that was kind of a bit of a shock to me because I thought, I just always thought, I feel like you grow up and your mum's always like, don't get pregnant, it's so easy, just that one time. And then like you actually doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And then don't get pregnant, like it's nuts. So that I think was a massive shock to me because as well, I told like my best friends, I was like, yeah, we're trying for a baby.
And there's it feels like eyes are on you.
Yeah. And then like every single time I catch up with them, I'm like, no, it's not happening. And then I think what happened? And then I went away filming for something and came back and I just remember saying like, let's just take a hiatus for a minute because it's just too intense. I think I'm thinking about it too much. It's really overwhelming. And then it was his birthday around October. And he was like, oh, come on. He was like, should we just have just a little bit of sex? And I was just like, oh. I was like, I feel like I've had sex enough this year. You've reached your quota. And so I was like really frustrated by it. And he was like, just once. I was like, oh, fine. So literally the one time. And that was it.
That is crazy.
And do you know what? It took us a while to find out that I was actually pregnant because I was so reluctant to take a test because I thought, surely I've not spent 8 months of my life having sex more than I would like to. And honestly, was sick of the sight of Mark.
5 days a month.
Literally.
Constantly at it.
Literally, I was like, I hate you so much. And I was like, and just that one time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talk me through that moment of like, had you had any symptoms? Or was it just a late period?
So this is, again, like why I was so convinced. So I think I'd just had a period. Yeah, I'd literally just had a period. So in my head, I was like, well, no, it's not that the timings don't really add up. And so it was my partner's 30th. And again, like I was kind of drinking a bit. And then it was my best friend's wedding the week after. And again, like I felt a little bit like lethargic. And then after my friend's wedding, I felt really sick. And it was for some reason like clockwork in the evenings. I was having like hot sweats. I had like stabbing pains and I was being sick like every night. I said to Mark, I was like, I've got food poisoning. I was like, I have food poisoning. He was like, I don't think you do. And he was like, you're definitely pregnant. And I said, Mark, please. I was like, come on. I was like, we had sex that one time. I was like, it's not going to be, it's not happening. I was like, there's no way. So I really avoided taking a pregnancy test because I genuinely was so convinced I was just ill. And I was even on my Instagram story, I just feel so sick. I don't know why. Been throwing up. And my friends were like, you are stupid. And then I remember Mark FaceTiming me saying, I have ordered you a pregnancy test to the house on delivery. Like literally on delivery. He was like,
the best thing to come out of lockdown is Deliveroo, delivering everything.
And I was like, oh, fine. So I was on FaceTime to him. And I was like, fine, I'll take the stupid pregnancy test just to shut you up. I just remember weighing on the stick and just being like, yeah, it's not loaded yet. Like just kind of a bit like blasé. And then I just remember seeing it and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, no, you're joking. I was like, I'm not joking. I was like, is this pregnant? And it was so annoying because I almost wished that I'd had a bit more of a moment.
Yeah.
Because I think I always see people on Instagram kind of making such a moment and like surprising their partners, but there was none of that. But I feel like that wouldn't really be us anyway. But it was just so...
Also, that was a proper real moment of you two together. Do you know what I mean? And him ordering the test and you know, I think it's... Life isn't like the films.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Or what people try to create because of the films on Instagram and stuff like that. And actually, the realness of it is what's special to you guys.
Yeah. And do you know what? I've never been so happy in my life. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. And do you know what I, again, really struggled with is not telling people.
So did you decide not to tell people at that point?
No, I couldn't keep my mouth shut.
No.
I could not keep my mouth shut.
Oh, sorry. Did Mark say, let's not tell people?
Yeah.
And you were like, okay.
Mark was like, let's just try and keep it really low key. You know, it's like early days. I was like, yeah. I won't tell anyone. Next thing, I'm obviously FaceTiming all my friends. I'm pregnant. Oh my God. I called my mum. Like, I could not keep it to myself. And I was getting so frustrated because I had so much excitement.
Yeah.
Like, we'd been kind of like trying and it was something that I really, really wanted and that we'd wanted for a while. And I I just really struggled to keep it to myself because I was so happy. But then I can obviously see why people don't tell people. But I also just thought, do you know what? I want to tell my nearest and dearest because if anything were to happen, I think I'd really need their support.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I literally told so many people. Mark was like, can you stop telling people?
Can you just give me one person to tell myself?
Yeah, literally.
Did you call my mum?
Literally, I just couldn't stop. But it was just, it was actually such a lovely moment. And yeah, it was amazing.
You've been staying very active as well throughout your pregnancy. Was that because obviously you're a very active and fit person anyway. So was that something that you were really mindful of continuing?
So this is another thing that I found really hard so I was recovering from a knee injury and then I was having physio and I actually wanted to have knee surgery so that I could get back into kind of the swing of things with fitness. And I wasn't able to have the surgery because obviously I then fell pregnant. So I haven't actually been able to do loads of fitness things, which actually has been quite hard. Yeah. I haven't been able to do as much as I would have liked to. And I've heard that it is just good to try and keep as active as possible and just get your body moving. So I've just been doing more kind of Pilates and walking, and because we've got the dog as well, like walking the dog and just keeping your body moving. But it has been so overwhelming just what happens with your body. Yeah. And it's something that I really, at the start, I was like, yeah, this is really nice. Like I've got this little bump. And then I think as soon as you kind of start to get a lot bigger, that's when those kind of thoughts creep in like, am I ever going to look the same ever again? Like, I feel like I've just kind of, you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And
it goes beyond just being a bump.
Yeah.
Like, people fixate on the bump, but you can get water retention, everything, everywhere swells up.
Yeah, my armpits are lumpy. I don't know why. Honestly, like my armpits are lumpy, like my boobs have got so much bigger, like I've got way more cellulite and all of these different things, which of course is happening because you're growing a child. Mm-hmm. But it's all things that I haven't necessarily experienced before.
Also though, when we live in a society and a culture that fixates so much on how women look and look in a certain way, when we stray away from that, I say we as if I've ever looked the other way, but when we then look different compared to how we are used to feeling, it can be it's a big thing mentally. And I do think it's something that has to be talked about because it is an amazing thing that your body is doing, but you also have to be in that place where you kind of shut out all those things that we've been told that we have to be. Yeah,
and that's what I've really struggled with. And I think actually I started doing a hypnobirthing course, and a lot of that is around like positive affirmations and about just being nice to your body, speaking nicely about your body to your body. And I've absolutely loved that element of it because actually I was like, oh, I'm really worried I'm going to get stretch marks and I'm really worried I'm going to get this. And what if I don't bounce back? And what if I'm never a size 6 or 8 ever again? And then I thought, do I actually care? Yeah. Like I'm actually growing a child. I'm growing a human, which is amazing in itself. Like, why am I making this into a negative thing by putting extra pressure on myself? And it also made me think, actually, when I have children, I don't want to be like that either. Yeah. I don't want them to ever feel like they have to look a certain way because your body's not there to look at, like you said. It's there it's like kind of like your vessel. Yeah. And looks after you. Yeah. And yeah, that's been actually a really nice journey with my own body because I think I have always been quite slim. Mm-hmm. And so, especially in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, what would that look like if my whole body changed, which it might do. And I might never look like I did pre-baby. And I thought, actually, I think I'm okay with it. It's part of growing up, I think, as well. Yeah. Like, your body changes as you get older as a woman. And, we're never going to look like we did when we were 18. Yeah. You've got great photos and footage of you in the Love Island days. And it's okay if that isn't, if it's a distant memory. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
And I think we get so fixated on it, though. I think I go to beaches and I go to swim pools and I see mums not engaging with their kids because they're sat covered up and they don't want to. It's like, screw it. Yeah. Get in your bikini, get in your swimming costume, whatever you want, and just splash around with your kids. Because I definitely I've gone through many stages where, I mean, my body fluctuates all the time. And, you know, I was kind of like, oh, cover up a little bit. It's like, sod it. Like, this is now. And actually, soon they're going to be teenage boys and going off and doing whatever they want. And I'm going to be on my own.
Yeah.
So, got to enjoy it now.
Did you struggle with your first child, as in like in terms of body image?
Well, body image-wise,
does it get easier?
Interestingly, so I think I'd always been, so out of my siblings and stuff, I was always one that was always a little bit chubbier. So I think I've always known that I was always felt I was a little bit chubbier. You know, like even with the McFly guys, their wives were always slimmer. But becoming pregnant, I suddenly felt womanly. I felt sexy. I felt like not sexy in the way of I wanted sex. Let's not
Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah. But I just felt like this is my body, and I felt really proud of it. Obviously, afterwards it changes. Like my tummy was like dough. Like trying to find my muscles again was like, I don't know, finding gold. And it changes again. But it's all about being kind, I think, to your body. And I definitely grew up in a culture where you punished your body to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You went to the gym and it was a punishment because you could be beach ready. And actually, I think that dialogue is slowly changing. And we should know that we're always beach ready.
Yeah.
It's just a case of picking up your bikini and going, or
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, I and then subsequent pregnancies, I think my... having Max, my third, my body just hated me. I felt older. I felt heavier. Like my knees and my hips hurt. But I think that was just my body going. I thought, come on.
I thought we were done.
We were done.
Yeah.
You've got two there. What are you doing? Yeah, bodies are a funny thing though, in the way that they kind of, get you through certain bits. And how are you thinking about? Are you thinking about breastfeeding or anything?
So I'm going to try.
Try.
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely try. But do you know what? I've read so much about, I think there's so much pressure on women to breastfeed. And I think there's so many different hormones. I mean, I was just saying to my friend in the car, for the last 2 weeks, I don't know why, I've just been crying loads. Just about everything.
Not about to stop.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you about what. And I'm just really irrational.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because you're growing a human and there's so many different hormones going through your body right now.
Like, I want to be able to breastfeed. I'm going to absolutely try my best to breastfeed. But it depends on emotionally how I do. Because again, I think I kind of said to you earlier, I feel like I have no idea how I'm going to react. Yeah. I'm normally like not a very emotional person, deal with things quite well. I don't get stressed out that easily. And I would say I'm majority of the time quite laid back and able to deal with stress pretty well. But especially the last 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be like?
It's also, you've just moved, Montana. Like, I mean, there's a lot going on.
I know. And I just feel like it must, I mean, I really, again, it makes me admire all the women in my life as well, and women in general. How do women do it? Just even, I'm not going into the office every single day and I'm not working 9 to 5 every day. And it makes me think, oh my gosh, like majority of women are working right up until 2 weeks before. They're working solidly to put food on the table for their kids. And it's just like, and not even that, I think there's so much more emotional responsibility as a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do people do it? Like, it's a thankless task. This is what it seems like. And I think there is that kind of classic thing. And I've kind of see a lot of people talking about being a mum online. And it does go unnoticed a lot of the time. And people don't realise. I mean, it's like if you see a dad doing something with their kid, everyone's like, oh, what a great dad. Oh my God, they're so involved. Taking their kid to the child. Take it, see what I mean? I can't even talk. Taking their kid to the park on the weekend. And like, but that's just normal as a mum.
Yeah.
And no one says, you know what, you're doing a really amazing job. Like, you're incredible. And you're breastfeeding. And you're doing this. And you're cooking. And you're cutting your grapes in half and half again. Do you know what I mean? It's all those little things. And yeah, I really, really, really admire women. And I feel really lucky to be part of the Mum Club.
Let's talk birth. You said about hypnobirthing.
Yeah.
How are you feeling nearing the birth? Are you going down the hypnobirth route? I mean, if you listen to affirmations, you're doing it. You know what I mean? It's all going into your mind and your body and relaxing you, I think.
So yes, I am going to do hypnobirthing, but I feel like people think you actually get hypnotized.
Yeah, Paul McKenna comes in and just waves a little thing in front of you.
And it's not that.
Really, does he? Paul McKenna does not come in and wave a little thing at you. That's not hypnobirthing.
So I am hypnobirthing, and I think because I am going to try and have a home birth, I think I just really want to be very focused and focus on the breathing and
what made you go towards that route?
So I really was thinking I wanted to give birth in hospital initially. And then the more I was kind of passionate about, I really wanted to give birth in an NHS hospital because I just think
they're amazing.
But they're not able to guarantee privacy and things like that. So for me, I really, really, really just wanted to have privacy. And I think that is something that will be playing on my mind if I'm in a big hospital with lots of people around. I just think I'm going to be really vulnerable. And I just think for me, the best outcome is if I can have my own space. And, you know, the NHS, they're so overwhelmed at the minute. I don't want to be like, I need my own room and all of this kind of stuff. And I just think I'm going to try and give birth at home. If I can do that, be in my own space, create my own environment and, you know, keep it chilled, which I doubt I will, but focus on the breathing. And I've actually also got a doula as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. And so I just feel really excited about trying to go through it in that experience.
Has the pool arrived yet?
The pool has arrived yesterday. The doula brought it over. She was like, this is your pool. I was like, it's happening. But yeah, I don't know why I'm like really excited to give birth. And I just keep...
That's such a good place to be.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's going to be so hard and so painful and probably the most painful thing I'm ever going to do. But I also feel like women... like your body just probably takes over. And like, I just think it's such an amazing thing. Your body just knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed, touch wood, nothing, I don't need to go into hospital. But yeah, that's like my preference is to give birth at home.
So I'll give you a positive story. I've hypnobirthed 3 times.
Have you?
And so the first time, having had nothing to compare it to, I've got to say that I felt like it was the most empowering thing I've ever done.
Really?
I was cracking jokes. I felt like I'd taken every single drug known to man. I hadn't taken a thing. Yeah, it was the most...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, incredible experience ever.
And did you give birth in hospital?
I did, but I had sadly had a miscarriage before my first.
Yeah.
And I had an obstetrician who was helping me with PCOS.
Yeah.
And he delivered in a certain place, so I was like, I'm going to you.
Yeah.
So that was my safe place, was to be with him. So first time round, he was there, and then I did midwife-led the next 2 times. I did think about a home birth, but because I'd been there the other 2 times and felt safe there, I was just like, I don't want to change what I know.
Yeah.
So I did midwife-led, but hypnobirthing the whole way.
Did you do painkillers?
No.
Oh my gosh! See, this is the energy. That
I had gas and air only when the placenta was coming out. Because I was like,
gosh.
I've done it now.
I've done it now.
I want to experience that.
That's amazing. Well, that's an incredible like birth story for all 3 as well.
Yeah.
But I do think hypnobirthing is so powerful.
But also you do lots of mindfulness, don't you?
Yes.
Which is, I just love watching your mindfulness videos because it feels like you're so zen. And that's what hypnobirthing is, essentially.
Yeah. And like every single time I'm in the bath, I feel like I'm visualizing. Yeah. I'm just constantly just trying to affirm to myself that my body can do this. And as long as I have,
is going to be your best friend.
Pardon?
Breathing is going to be your best friend.
Yeah, well, this is what I've heard. Oh, I'm so glad you've hypnobirthed as well. That makes me feel so much better.
It makes me very excited that you're going to hypnobirth. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like people do get really caught up in how they give birth if it goes a different way, which I've never had a proper birth plan. And I think that you can understand why people get so caught up in it when it doesn't quite go as they planned.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you and your baby are happy and healthy, that's
the main thing. Yeah. I mean, I'm buzzing to do a home birth, but I feel like whenever I say, oh, I'm doing a home birth, I get this kind of look of like, are you insane? Like,
no, I only gave that look when I thought your in-laws were going to be there. Yeah. Now I know they're not. You're fine.
But I think it's such a new thing because I think people think, oh my goodness, like, and this is kind of what frustrates me as well, is that I feel like so many women are made to feel like they're only safe giving birth if they're in hospital. Which I think if you told me, I don't know, 2 years ago, would you ever do a home birth? I'd be like, oh, how stupid. People giving birth at home, why would you want to do that? But I don't know, I feel like a proper earthy mum, just like, oh my gosh, no.
And is this surprising you though, that this earthy side is coming out?
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like I'm so in awe of what my body's doing, and I just believe that my body can do it, and I really feel like empowered. I want to do it in my own space, in my own time, with my own surroundings. If I want to grab a sandwich when I'm 3 centimeters dilated, I want to grab a sandwich, you know, and just having like my things around me and like my duvet and, you know, and just having my own personal belongings around me, not thinking, oh shit, I left my favourite cup at home, or I left this, or I left my lavender spray, or I just don't want those extra thoughts going into my head. I just really am going to try and believe that my body can do it. And do you know what? I might get to it. The pain might be way too much for me, and I might be like, absolutely sod this. I'm going to go into hospital. But for the minute, I'm really going to just try and do it myself and do it at home. And yeah.
My friend said to me once, you don't get any extra medals.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Doing it a certain way.
No, you don't. And I completely understand why people are just like, just get me the juice. To be honest, I might even get to that point as well.
Get me the juice. Yeah. I've never heard it. I've never heard it said that before.
Get me the epidural. Like, and that might happen for me as well. I might, you know, have an awful time, not be able to manage the pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to try and not get to that.
Has it been on your mind more as you get closer to it?
It sounds so odd, but I'm just really excited to give birth. I can't wait until it like the moment happens where I'm like, oh my God, I'm in labour. And I don't know why.
It's that excitement though. You don't know when it's going to happen.
You don't know when it's going to happen. And I actually spoke to my partner yesterday. I said, I just want to have like as soon as it happens, and obviously people can be in early labour for a while. I said, I just want to leave our phones at home. I want to go off grid. And I just want to have those small moments of doing a little routine, just me and you. And I don't know why, I just have it in my head that I want to take the dog for a walk. I want to grab some sushi. I want to go home. I want to watch Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
And then just kind of just let it unfold, how it's going to unfold. And I just want to be in my little bubble of love.
Yeah.
And just, we probably won't tell anybody when we're in early labour, and just kind of let it be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't wait for that, because it's just, I'm excited for how special it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I have actually watched a few episodes of One Born Every Minute.
I was obsessed with it.
It's, oh my God, I've just cried. Every time. I know exactly what's happening. A baby's coming, woman comes into the hospital, gives birth, baby comes out. Every time it's more emotional than the last. Like, as if I don't know what's coming. But I don't know. Again, I think I'm just so in awe of women. Like, I just feel like, wow, like only women get to experience this, and only women get to give birth. And it's just such a special thing. I just feel really like lucky to be able to do it.
How is Mark feeling heading towards it?
Honestly, I don't think Mark knows that we're having a child at this point. Like, genuinely.
Tell him, the only person who doesn't know.
He is like so chilled. Like I said yesterday, I feel like I need a little bit more from you in terms of acknowledgement that this is happening, because life's just normal for him. And I spoke to my cousin actually, because I had a few of my family members over this weekend, and she was kind of saying it's a completely different experience for them, because for him, he leaves the door, goes to work, and he probably doesn't think about it all day.
Yeah,
because he's too busy kind of in other things, whereas you're the one that's experiencing the kicks and like the little niggles, and your feet are swollen, and you know your body looks different. Because I think initially I was getting really frustrated, because I was like, what? Why is he not excited about this? Why is he not as, you know, because I feel like I'm so emotional and I'm so like charged. Oh my God, my boobs and my milk's coming in and this and that. And like for him, he's like, oh yeah, cool. And for me, like, I think initially it was upsetting me, because I was like, why doesn't he care? Does he know we're having a baby? It could come any moment. What's wrong with him? And it was only until I spoke to my cousin, who's, again, she's got 3 boys as well. She was like, it's not the same for them. It's really not the same. They don't get the privilege of feeling all those little movements and feeling so connected. It's only when the baby's actually there. And my cousin was saying that's when you'll see it. You'll see it in his eyes that it's the best day of his
Just
life.
imagine you on the label, like in the pool still, just looking at him. Where are the eyes? You're giving him the eyes?
Yeah. It was so funny as well because I feel like on the day he'll be so nervous, and he's not a nervous person at all. But we were going through kind of birth preferences with the doula about, are you going to be the first person to hold the baby, or do you want Mark to maybe like deliver the baby? And I said, yeah, I definitely want Mark to deliver the baby. He was like, oh, okay. So is there going to be someone supervising me? Like, am I going to have someone next to me? What if I drop it? And like, how quickly does it come out? Like, so from when I can see the head, how many seconds do you think I have? Like, and I was just like, oh my God, he's actually freaking out. I was like, this is great to see. So I feel like those kind of emotions will come when labour starts.
Yeah. And as we know, in One Born Every Minute, one of the best bits it's the partners when the baby arrives. Or before, just kind of going into flappy mode. Whee!
They're always just, I know it sounds terrible, but they're always just so useless and clueless most of the time.
How's hypnobirthing though? Has Mark got involved with that, and has it given him a role?
I think so. I think for him, it doesn't feel real to him unless it's in front of him. Like, for example, we were practicing the breathing and going through, and then I looked to my right and he was asleep. Like, he was actually asleep. And I was just like, I'm so sorry about him. And he was just mouth open asleep. I was like, you are ridiculous. But so, I mean, I think he's really glad that we did it because he's learned so much. And I think even the NCT, as kind of tongue-in-cheek as it was at times, he's like, it was nice to just have that window of time where we were talking about it, because unless we had that small window of time every week to discuss it, I genuinely don't think it would be like a big discussion point for him.
Yeah.
He's very, like I said to you, he's very calm, very chilled, very horizontal about everything. So for him, he's like, well, I know I'll be fine. Yeah. And he will be fine. And he'll be such a great dad. And I know that he'll be so supportive. But for him, he's like, well, what's the point in, just discussing these things before it's happened kind of thing. So yeah, I think it will stand him in good stead when he's a parent, because he's very much a man of his word. Mm-hmm. He will be there. He's very reliable, but he just doesn't care to talk about it. Doesn't care to freak himself out about it, unless it's actually in front of him.
I guess it's wasted energy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I did do a little gender reveal.
I feel like one of the first tests with mums that I absolutely hate is, what do you think you're having?
I know.
And if you get it wrong, it's like, ugh.
Well, I was convinced I was having a girl.
Oh, really?
This is another thing that I found really frustrating, is that I was having dreams I was having a girl. And I was all in my feels, I'm having a girl, I can sense it. Mm-hmm. Like, I just know, I know what I'm having, it's a girl. I was telling everyone again, because I've got a huge mouth, that I was having a girl. And then I remember being so smug about it, going to my 20-week scan and being like, oh, can you write it down on a bit of paper? We're going to go somewhere else, going to go for dinner after this. I'm going to open it together, as if I knew it was a girl. And I even set up the camera because I thought, oh, it's going to be a girl and I'm going to be so excited. And I opened this envelope and it was like, it's a boy. And I remember being like, what? I was like, what? And I was disappointed. I genuinely was disappointed. I was like,
it's a proper thing. It's a proper thing.
I was like, I've picked out my girl name. Like, I've pictured having a girl. And I don't know what it was. I did really, really want a girl. Yeah. And I know that sounds really mean and horrible. No. And a bit ungrateful.
No, I think it's also, you're allowed to acknowledge how you felt. Like, that's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? Those are your emotions. You can't rationalise those. Do you know what I mean?
And I think also, because I know that I would want a girl at some stage, I almost just wanted to get it out of the way as the first. So that then I actually wouldn't mind what I had then moving forward.
But you and your mum are very close, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think probably where it came from, is that I just really, really just wanted that. And also I think I'd been to the nurseries as well and seen that the girls were like colouring really like neatly and really like nicely sat and like reading. And then I saw these boys like screaming and like rugby tackling each other. I was like, yeah, I definitely want a girl. And I remember calling my best friend and saying, I'm having a boy. I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, I thought I was having a girl. She was like, oh, honey, she's like, it's fine. And this is my friend that's also pregnant as well.
Right.
And I was just thinking, oh, she's going to have a girl now. And I just remember I was like, I don't know what it was. I think I just had my heart set on it.
Yeah.
And then she found out she was also having a boy. And then I thought, ha, we're both having boys. We're both in this together. And then I don't know why, it just made it better that we're now both having boys. But do you know what? And now we're so close to D-Day. And I've done, again, I've kind of read up on people's stories about having boys. And it was kind of saying things like, you are like your boy's first love. And like they just adore their mums. And I actually think having a boy is really, really special because we make such an impact on them as like the men of the future. So yeah, I'm actually really excited I'm having a boy now. And actually I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good. Honestly, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's chaotic. You've got to embrace the chaos and the mayhem. Yeah. If you were to write a letter on motherhood, who would it be to, or what would you say?
I think it would be to my mum because I've always seen her working her ass off to give me everything. And she's really given me not only a sense of like drive, but also a sense of independence and what it means to be like an independent woman.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because I think when I was younger, I used to get quite sad because I'd be like, oh, but everyone's mum's always like around or they're at home and they pick them up from school every day. And, you know, I had childminders and, you know, my mum didn't always pick me up from school. She always tried to be there as much as she could, but she was just quite often working. And I never appreciated what that meant, I think, when I was younger. But actually, she's given me so many lessons of, one, just to behave with whoever you're with. And two, I think you do have to make sacrifices as a woman. And I also think she did both. She was a great mum and also she had an amazing career. And yeah, I really thank her for that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Final 3 sentences that I'd like you to complete. The first one, let me check. Right. Being a mum means.
That's hard. Well, I think it's self-love, putting yourself first, actually. I think the more self-love you can give yourself as a mum, the better parent you can be.
That's very, very true. Since getting pregnant, I'm
excited for this new chapter.
And I'm happy when?
With my family.
Oh. Have you been sleeping well?
Yeah.
Have you?
Apart from needing a wee like 6 or 7 times in the night, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable, but I sleep.
Really?
My sleep is important to me, which is why I'm a little bit scared.
And I'm talking about TikTok. My sister was saying how there's an amazing TikTok video going around at the moment where there's the whole sleep when your baby sleeps, and there's a mum walking her pram, and the baby's asleep, so she literally just stops and goes to sleep on the road. It's the most ridiculous thing.
Me.
Yeah.
It's important.
But Montana, I can't wait for you to come back and fill us in on how everything's been going.
I know.
And I'm
so
excited to see this next chapter for you.
I know. I'll keep you posted when he arrives.
Yeah. I mean, of course you will. You can't keep it to yourself.
I know, exactly. If that's one thing that we've learned. I can't keep it to myself.
Nor should you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.